Alright, we are the champion select of the final game in the evening, TSM versus MRN. Fully expect to see MRN ban out TSM's global strategy, as that's really TSM's big go-to at this point in time. Also bans out on Renekton and Kale as well, coming out from MRN. TSM right away banning Akali, and I think that would also throw out a few more bans to that top lane, possibly Renekton if MRN doesn't ban it out, and there's a Shin ban out. Not wanting to see TSM run that dual global comp, which is really a pain in the ass to deal with. It's just one of those annoying things. And it looks like Jarvan's going to be banned out here, not wanting to see him use that double armor strategy that a lot of teams have been running as of late. Though he's kind of fallen off, as there just been other junglers that are a bit stronger, that can do a little more than him. He's still really powerful. Kale up next on the chopping block, as her ultimate is just pretty ridiculous. It's one of the most powerful things in the game, and she's great at all phases. She doesn't have a real weak spot like some other champions. She's always good. And even if she's behind, she has the ultimate that can make up for it. And Renekton will be the final ban out of TSM. Especially something like a Twisted Fate ban would be my guess, just because they don't want to have Reginald running around making plays all game long. But it's really up in the air at this point. Could see a Nidalee ban as well, though Nidalee's kind of fallen out of favor. Teams have just figured out how to engage well, and that's been really the downfall of Nidalee. And it will be a Thresh banning out, leaving Twisted Fate available for TSM, and Twisted Fate will be picked up right away. Not wanting to lose out on him. That's one of Reginald's favorite champions. And when he's on point with Twisted Fate, it's a real hard thing to deal with. But his Twisted Fate is fairly hit or miss. It either does so incredibly poorly it's hard to watch, or it's so amazing that it's virtually a complete highlight reel. There's no real in-between with him. And that's really just how Reginald plays the entire League of Legends game. He's either the best player or the worst player. And that's why people really like him, or hate him. And that's just kind of who he is. MRN here, I definitely think they'll grab a top laner here. Something like an Elise who's still in the pool would be a great option. Junglers would be a good option as well. And it looks like they are hovering around Nocturne. Do decide to pick him up along with Elise. Excellent choices there. That is one of the favorites of MRN. Nocturne just being able to rotate around the map, get that semi-global, and it's a soft counter to Twisted Fate. As whenever Twisted Fate pops his ultimate, Nocturne can always pop his own and counter gank, or at least stop Twisted Fate from going immediately. As Nocturne ultimate does prevent vision, even though Destiny does supposedly give vision of all champions, the darkness will win there. TSM here looking over Lulu, and I think Lulu would be a good choice. Likely pick up an AD carry as well, as they know they're going to be up against Elise. No need to pick your top laner yet. Secure something a little bit more controversial. Something like a Caitlyn would be a good choice for them, as that's been WildTurtle's real go-to champion. Draven could also be a great choice, and it will be Draven. Glad to see Draven not banned out and actually played for once, as he just brings so much to that early and mid game that he snowballs out of control. He's not the best late game champion, but he doesn't need to be. Most of hit games with Draven are won or lost by about 20 minutes, because he usually either snowballs or falls off at that point, and that's really something that TSM is going to be able to capitalize on. They have two very strong early to mid game champions, in addition to Lulu, who's really powerful throughout the entire game. And I think MRN's going to want to avoid going down and fighting 2v2 in the bottom lane. They're going to want to do the lane swap, as I don't think even Caitlyn would be able to deal with Draven Lulu. And whoever they pick up for the support is basically a free kill if they get hit with Glitter Lance. And it looks like they are going to go with Caitlyn and Sona. A very strong combination. Two very good champions with a lot of poke. They'll be able to push down the top tower very quickly. The only problem is they don't have a lot of early game CC to really get the kill, especially if they want to go for that standard 3 to 4 minute tower dive on the top lane. They have the fear from Nocturne, but that's not really reliable. They have the traps and slow from Caitlyn and Sona, but those aren't really reliable. They're much more defensive minded. And from TSM, I definitely expect to see Singed here, as Singed would really fill out their lineup well. It would give them an initiator, it'd give them a bit of split push as well. But instead, they're going to kind of keep rotating around champions, though I do think they would actually settle on Singe. It'd be a great choice here. It'd give them someone to soak up all that CC, run through there, and at least apply some pressure to Caitlyn. But instead, it looks like they're going to go with double attack speed slows, meaning that Caitlyn and Nocturne are in for a lot of trouble come teamfight time, as that's 70-80% attack speed slow, at least, when both of the slows are on you. And that just becomes a real pain to deal with as an AD carry. Also gives them great initiation on Malphite, another tanky body in Nasus who will likely go into the jungle. And TSM set themselves up real well, and this was like another game where they're going to apply a lot of pressure and try and win through the mid game, and then snowball WildTurtle into a real big dominating late game force, which he's shown to be a real solid late game AD carry. Even though he's been good in all phases, he's just kind of shown himself at the late game, where he's really like become a star almost over the basically today. In the games he's played, he's really done real work to help TSM win. And last pickup from MRN will be Karthus. Kind of something different, and I'm not sure how well it will work out, but it will be another soft counter to Twisted Fate. So whenever Twisted Fate decides to gank, there's going to be the Karthus ultimate to kind of say, hey, I've got some global presence too. Nocturne will soft counter Twisted Fate. And in lane is basically going to be a farm off. Neither one of them is really going to get an advantage over the other. They're just going to want to farm up to 6, then start making their plays. Karthus likely to go with teleport. And it looks like there are actually 2 teleports coming up on the side of MRN, while only 1 on the side of TSM, which does make it fairly even with Twisted Fate's Destiny. So they will be able to have these big engagements anywhere on the map at virtually any time, as those 2 champions could easily roam around. And it's going to be who can get the first kill, because once you get that first kill, and if you don't burn too much, it's easy to snowball several kills after that. But if you have to burn 3 and 4 ultimates to pick up that 1 kill, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, as they could easily just snowball it back. And it's going to be about that initiation as well. TSM has great initiation on their team. MRN, it's okay, but it's not something that you're really going to rely upon. It's going to be TSM kiting around, trying to get the fight they want. They have enough slowing power. They have Glitter Lance. They have the Wither. And there's not really a amazing initiator on the side of MRN like they have on TSM with the Malphite. That could really be set up well with a nice slow or a gold card from Twisted Fate. And we're going to see what does happen. They have Nocturne who can initiate, but you really don't want Nocturne initiating. You have Elise who can initiate with a stun on the side of MRN. And you have Sona who could flash initiate, but nothing really great. They're going to have to find a lot of these pickoffs in the mid game and snowball their lanes if MRN wants to win here, because I don't foresee them being able to win a late game team fight. Just with the fact Caitlyn's going to be doing absolutely nothing unless she gets perfectly protected, as those attack speed slows are ridiculous on the side of TSM. Looks like both sides are going to be setting up fairly defensively, but TSM will actually come forward. They do spot at the ward, and they are going to be spotted out by Karthus. Good decision by MRN to actually place that ward there. No big loss. Kind of surprised they didn't place that Explorer's ward, as that's what Sona usually likes to do. But it looks like Karthus is in a bit of trouble and will be forced to flash. Big win by TSM. That means they are going to be able to get a gank on him fairly early. Nasus ganks, while not particularly strong, they're really good at setting up other CCs or setting up the lane for a big play, as that Wither is just massively powerful. Twisted Fate takes Peacemaker to the face and a few auto attacks, and he's likely going to have to go back to base, as there is a stun on Dyrus. A lot of damage coming out. He is going to be safe. He could flash if he needs to, and he will actually be taken out by Elise as she flashes forward with the Ignite to finish him off. Big win by MRN. Didn't think he'd actually go down. He had his flash available. He had the shard to get some additional movement speed, but he just didn't play it safe enough. And with Elise's flash and Ignite down, she did pick up first blood. She's going to go back and pick up an Amplifying Tome. So this is going to be a very hard lane for Malphite to actually deal with. And the TheOddOne's not going to get a great leash here in the jungle, as Malphite won't be there to help him out on blue and the wolves, so he'll be a little delayed in the jungle. Excellent fight. And it looks like we are going to see Nocturne starting at red, while Karthus will start with blue. MRN taking a page out of Dignitas's book, and looks like they're going to run the 2v1 mid. Karthus getting very low, and he might be taken down here. And it looks like he will be, as Draven does finish him off. Huge, huge win by TSM. And this is a real bad thing for MRN. They are going to be trying to go steal the blue, but Nasus is in the area. He does have his ghost if he needs it. Nocturne is going to be coming up here. Will he actually be able to get anything off on him? He does get the fear, and he will be not moving at all. Unlucky fear there by Nocturne. If it had feared back towards him, they might have had a chance to pick him off. But instead, nothing happens, and this Draven's going to get complete free farm down bottom. Karthus isn't going to be able to enter lane for a little bit of time. And this is not looking good for MRN. After they had a great start picking off Dyrus, it's just snowballed in the other direction. After getting a little greedy with Karthus and that blue buff. Especially considering Karthus already had his flash burned in the very early portion of the game. Looks like Nocturne is going to be able to steal race and likely rotate around. But I think he was spotted out. As Sona and Caitlyn continue to pressure this mid lane, Twisted Fate will be able to farm fairly well. He has enough mana to just spam out wild cards. Unlike a lot of other mid lane champions who are forced just to kind of stay away from that 2v1 lane, Twisted Fate can actually deal with it fairly well. Just due to the fact he's not going to take too much harass from Caitlyn Sona. He has a long range poke and ability to kill minions from a distance and keep the wave from actually pushing into the tower. And it looks like Karthus is actually doing a fairly decent job down bottom. He's not farming particularly well due to the fact he entered the lane late, but he's getting a few minions. He hasn't been killed yet, and he's staying alive fairly well. Nocturne will be spotted out down bottom as he does come in there just to help Karthus out. And it looks like Draven wants to get on him, but he is not able to do any more than throw out a few axes. Elise going to come up top and spot out Dyrus, so there will be a fight going on. Dyrus out of mana, so Elise just wants to kind of delay him, which is a very good decision. Malphite's going to have a hard time getting back to top lane unless he burns his teleport. Or he's going to lose a big, big minion wave. It looks very large. Looks like Nasus will be able to throw the withers. Twisted Fate comes in with the gold card. Little off on the Spirit Fire from Nasus, and no one's going to go down here. Twisted Fate in a lot of trouble, though. But there is no follow-up. Nasus just a little too tanky. And he's going to be able to steal some farm in the mid lane. That Spirit Fire really needed to hit, because that would have been so much additional damage, as that armor shred is massive in the early game, as it really just destroys your armor. And in the early game you have virtually none, so to speak, and it looks like we are going to have TSM taking the first tower of the game. Malphite will be using his teleport to come up top, as TSM is in a small advantage here, just thanks to the fact they've grabbed up a few extra buff minions and are farming about equally. The Twisted Fate passive is really the only thing keeping them in the lead at this point, as Nasus is really far behind in terms of jungling. Nocturne has done an excellent job of picking up the slack and is up 10 minions already. Draven's doing an excellent job down bottom, highest in the game, sitting at 41. Top lane's virtually even, as they sit at about 30 apiece. And the AP carries are both sitting at 22, being zoned out fairly hard by this AD carry and support of both sides. TSM's mid tower is getting fairly low, but with that Spirit Fire and a few cards from Twisted Fate, he's going to be able to clear that wave and continuously clear the wave. Thanks to his blue cards, he's getting high enough level where he can clear the wave in less wild cards. Looks like we are going to have MRN backing up, as Nasus is going to rotate down bottom. Nocturne is here as well, just trying to prevent the tower from being taken. The ward does spot him out as it is about to expire, so the odd one will back away. No real engagement so far. As we are approaching the 6-minute mark, it looks like Caitlyn and Sona are going to just go back to the mid lane, wanting to get that mid tower. And I think they're going to be able to get it with the next push. The tower's at about a quarter life, and there's nothing Twisted Fate can really do outside of just kill the creep wave really quickly with a wild card and then a blue card on top of it. As none of these lanes are playing really aggressively on either side. I'm surprised Elise is actually down in minions to Malphite, considering she had such a big advantage early on. And first blood. Looks like Nasus is going to continue to stay in this mid lane and help save that mid tower. He has recovered fairly well, as both ClankyD and TheOddOne have been really forced into the lanes. They've kind of had to help out that 2v1 lane a lot, and it's hurting their farm. but I don't think they care as long as they hold this tower for a bit longer. Twist of Fate throws out a few more wild cards. Nasus is up here. There is a red card picked up by Twist of Fate, so they won't actually be able to go on them. And Elise is able to catch up here as Malphite's had to go back to base yet again. Caitlyn doing an excellent job of zoning this Twisted Fate out. He's down 10 minions to Karthus, and it's growing every few seconds, though Draven is up on Caitlyn by about 10 minions as well. We are going to see a blue buff steal by MRN, as there are 3 here, and I don't think there's any way TSM can get there to protect it. They do spot out the blue buff of MRN being available and no one near it, so it will likely be MRN picking up their own blue buff to give to Karthus. But so far, no towers have been taken despite these lanes having virtual free farm. Looks like the Alvin's getting fairly low, but he will not be taken out. That Caitlyn just doing too much damage, and it looks like we do have the first tower of the game taken out down bottom. Karthus has opted to go with a tier of the Goddess, Nocturne picking up Madrid's Razor. Elise likely going to be picking up that Haunting Guise very soon. Twist of Fate in the mid lane, just zoning out Caitlyn by a little bit. Dyrus had rotated down bottom, but was spotted out well before he had a chance to do anything. Sona going to go with an early Sight Stone as Lulu opts for the Philosopher's Stone. Draven going to pick up an early Bloodthirster. Likely going to be seeing that early Infinity Edge or Bloodthirster on Caitlyn. Nasus going for the Aegis of the Legion, as Twist of Fate has picked up that Duran's Ring. And a few potions. We do see Twist of Fate coming up into the mid lane. He does land the gold card on Sona. Sona is only level 5, so he doesn't have the ultimate. Nasus going in, but they are not going to be able to find a kill. Draven ultimate flies, and it actually does pick up the kill onto Sona. Excellent ultimate there by Draven, and WildTurtle's been really on par with that ultimate. And his ultimates in general, as he's picked off Sona several times in the first game with Caitlyn. And in this game, he's picked up 1 kill on Sona already. And those ultimates really make a difference, because without Sona, they're going to have a hard time defending this mid turret, or at least securing some of their jungle. But instead, TSM's going to back up and not really take anything off of it, other than a bit of gold. Nasus is going to be finding Nocturne, but Nocturne does have his fear, and I don't think we're going to see anything out of it, as Nasus does actually get the Wither off. So he is in a lot of trouble. WildTurtle up here for some big damage, but here's the Karthus wall. Nasus not able to pursue, and ClankyD will be okay thanks to a potion, healing up from the Draven bleed. And we are going to go back to a fairly even game. The only difference really being 1 extra kill on the side of TSM and the tower, in addition to the gold from Twisted Fate's passive. And this mid tower still has not gone down. Draven and Lulu have rotated the mid lane, and Caitlyn just can't do anything at this point. She's too far down in items. Draven opted to go for a very aggressive BF sword instead of picking up the boots, which means he has a massive advantage for this point in the game. And he's really going to be able to snowball that into some good exchanges in the mid lane and prevent Caitlyn from farming until she goes back and picks up a BF sword or equivalent item in just a few moments. Looks like Nocturne has hit 6 and is going to be rotating around the map. Not sure where exactly he wants to go at this point, as it looked like he wanted to go to the mid lane, but there's a nice ward going to spot him out if he goes anywhere near there. Looks like Draven just continuing to try and zone Caitlyn out, though it's very hard to do so. He does have the ability to do that, as every single time he hits with that axe, he's going to apply a massive bleed. And that bleed just chunks Caitlyn down, as we see there, losing 10% of her health with every auto attack, and it's only going to get worse. Even though Caitlyn is farming fairly well, it looks like Nocturne does pop the ultimate, Crescendo does land on Draven, but he immediately cleanses it away. Karthus ultimate and Lulu ultimate go out, no kills exchanged. Twist of Fate ultimate does pop, and he's going to come into the mid lane with a nice gold card on Caitlyn. Caitlyn cleanses it away though, as Reginald is forced back, and we aren't going to see any kills as they just continue to pursue. But that's a lot of ultimates wasted for virtually nothing. And it looks like TSM, being much healthier after that fight, are going to be able to pick up Dragon. A good exchange for them, though it was a bit greedy on both sides to go in for that, as both AD carries have cleanse, they have their flash, and a fairly good exchange for TSM though, as they do pick up the Dragon. Nocturne and Sona want to try and push this mid lane, but they don't know where TSM is at this point. And the minions will not be able to finish it off. Draven just going to be able to clear it, along with the Spirit Fire of Nasus. Karthus continues to farm very well down in this bottom lane. He's going for a very tanky build, as he's going to be able to pick up the Rod of Ages and the Seraph's Embrace eventually. Nocturne has actually finished off the Wriggle's Lantern. A lot of junglers just like to sit on that Madrid's Razor. They don't really care about the lifesteal, especially when you have someone like Nocturne with a bit of passive lifesteal. Draven does throw his axes up the mid lane, but not landing, as he just wanted a bit of farm. Lulu going to continue to farm out that mid lane, as Nasus is losing out fairly heavily in terms of minions, though he's going for a much less gold required build, as that Wriggle's Lantern requires a lot of gold to actually be useful, while Aegis of the Legion really doesn't. He's going to have it very soon. As you see Twisted Fate picking up an Amplifying Tome, Draven has finished off that Bloodthirster and is in the lead in terms of gold, up a significant amount over Caitlyn, about 1,000 gold at this point. And the mid tower is finally taken by MRN. They're down about 2,000 gold, but it's not a very big lead at this point. Looks like we are going to have a steal, as Nocturne picks it off with Smite. Keeping this blue buff away from TSM is a really good thing at this point, because every single one on the team can use it. Malphite does come down bottom, and this is a dead Karthus. Nothing you can do about it. Just an excellent play, but he will try and get the revenge kill on Twisted Fate, but Twisted Fate doing the smart thing, just kiting him around. Malphite will be able to finish off this kill, as that was a beautiful play by Malphite. Looks like Flash Crescendo and WildTurtle's in a lot of trouble and will be taken down. Draven absolutely destroyed there. There was just no hope for him in that fight. He got absolutely demolished by the Flash Crescendo of Sona. And this will mean that was a fairly even exchange, though it is slightly in MRN's favor, as Draven is not going to be on the map farming for another few seconds. And it burned about the same amount of summoner spells. And it looks like Elise is just going to continue to farm up top. She is actually losing to Malphite, which I'm kind of surprised at. Elise usually dominates Malphite and most other top laners, just due to the fact she has so much damage based on how high or low health you are. So unless you're sitting in the middle, you're not really safe, as she'll do massive amounts of damage to you. Looks like TSM is going to group up as 5 for mid lane push. They have 2 wards fairly deep. Karthus is seen down bottom. Elise is down bottom as well. Karthus does have his teleport, which he has not used yet. I'm surprised he hasn't used that to at least get back to lane at some point, possibly defend that bottom tower, but he was really hoping to get a gank off with it. Looks like Draven is going to be continuing to push this mid lane. Nocturne going to do his best to hold it, but he's not going to be able to hold it for long. 4-man push here by TSM. Elise is pushing the top lane. He's going to be able to do a good bit of damage, as we do see this mid tower go down. There's not going to be a fight. Caitlyn too far away. Karthus just a little too far away, and not wanting to really teleport in. He didn't have a good teleport point. You don't want to teleport to the tower, because the second you see it, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. Twisted Fate pops his ultimate, and it looks like he is going to try and go for Karthus, or just right down bottom. They had pinged out Karthus, so they might have gone for him. Nocturne does pop his ultimate as he does get on Draven. Draven in a lot of trouble. Will Lulu get there in time to save him? And it looks like they just might, as Nasus does come in there. Ultimate placed by Lulu, and that is a dead Nocturne. Draven's damage getting ridiculous. Karthus' ultimate does fly, but it is not enough to pick anyone up. Nasus getting fairly low. He has popped the ultimate. Elise does come into this fight, but the Wither is too much for her. Malphite with beautiful ultimate hitting too, and is able to finish off Caitlyn. Elise going to go down as soon as she lands, and she will be finished off by WildTurtle on Draven. Draven absolutely dominating this game. And a beautifully coordinated fight there by TSM. Malphite coming in there to finish everyone off. They got a little greedy on MRN. I don't blame them for that. But TSM just really capitalized on it. And they don't see how much damage Draven and Nasus do together. And even Lulu provides a lot of damage early on with that Glitter Lance. And that really helped turn around that fight. But the big thing was Nasus popped his ultimate and just could sit around, taking both damage and dealing it out with that. So we got a big hit off with his Siphoning Strike. And then Malphite just kind of cleaned him up. Excellent fight there by TSM. And they've really snowballed this out to about a 4,000 gold lead. And it's only going to get bigger from this point. Caitlyn is the high farmer in the game along with Karthus, sitting between 125 and 130 minions apiece. Draven right behind them at 120. Malphite and Elise are tied up at 101 minions. Nasus is down about 15 minions to Nocturne, as Lulu and Sona are tied up at 6 and 7 respectively. That Twisted Fate passive is really adding up at this point. It's worth almost 1,000 gold right now. It's about 900 or so, but still, it's a lot of gold. It really makes a difference in these engagements, and it allowed Draven to pick up that BF sword earlier and get a nice advantage on Caitlyn. It's one of those underrated passives that really makes a difference in the long run, especially a game like this, which doesn't look to end anytime soon. And it looks like we're going to have a bunch of farming, as Draven's going to get a free lane to farm down bottom. MRN should likely group up and push down either the top or bottom tower, as that extra gold would be really handy at this point. It'll allow Sona to pick up that gold per 10 item, as she still doesn't have it, and she really needs to get that Philosopher's Stone up and going. Likely turn that into a Shrillia's Reverie later, but you just need that Philosopher's Stone to get the extra gold, to get the extra regen, and at this point it might not even be worth picking it up, unless she really wants the extra regen. It looks like MRN has realized that there is no teleport up on Dyrus just yet. Dragon has respawned, and it is MRN pulling it out, but they are just going to back away. TSM has good wards. They have a pink ward on Dragon, they have one in the bushes, so they are going to be able to see anything that comes their way. Teleport is now up for TSM. Malphite teleporting the ward back as a crescendo goes across TSM, but Draven's in there doing massive amounts of damage as we do a beautiful ultimate by Malphite hitting 2. Wild Growth on top of it for additional CC. Elise taking a lot of damage, but there's the Karthus ultimate, and it will not be, actually it is enough to finish off Draven. Caitlyn the only one living for MRN, and she will be alive, as we do see Twist of Fate coming in here along with Dyrus, as Caitlyn just decides to jump over the wall. Not a very good fight for MRN, but decent results, as they do lose everyone but Caitlyn. Caitlyn did pick up a bit of assist there. Elise got some much needed kills, and Draven picked up an additional kill there as well. So overall a decent fight for MRN, but still they lost an extra member. Dragon was not taken by either side, so they will have it available again. And that was just kind of a good shutdown on Draven. If Draven had actually lived that Karthus ultimate, he might have been able to actually take Dragon off of it. But instead, he got finished off by that last tick of Ignite. And it looks like we're going to have another fight for Dragon in just a moment. Ultimates are down, which hurts MRN just a little bit more. Twist of Fate ultimate, it does come up here, and a nice set of wild cards hits 3 as the Nocturne does get the fear off. Draven doing a lot of damage to his Karthus, and with that last axe will not be able to finish him off, but Elise taking a lot of damage. Sona is able to heal her up as Elise jumps away to the wolves, and this will be a free Dragon for TSM. Excellent decision there by Draven to just run in there and do what he can. Looks like we are going to have Caitlyn going for the Blade of the Rune King, as she's picked up those double daggers. She could also be going for a Phantom Dancer, and I think Phantom Dancer would probably be a better choice here, though I think Blade of the Rune King would be a good option against the very tanky targets of Nasus and Malphite. And she's really not going to get the opportunity to hit the squishy targets, which Phantom Dancer really helps out with. She has opted for that early Bloodthirster, as Draven is going to be picking up the last Whisper and Zeal. Twist of Fate going with that early Zani's Hourglass. Runic Boar finished by Nasus, Sunfire Cape up on Malphite, and he looks like he's going to be going for a Frozen Heart or Randuin's Omen. Elise going to be picking up that Rylai's Crystal Scepter, as we're going to have a Lock of the Iron Solari up on to Nocturne very soon. Karthus has finished off his Rod of Ages. Not sure what he's going to be building next. I don't think he's going to finish off that Tear of the Goddess anytime soon, as we do have the Philosopher's Stone finally finished up on Sona. Looks like we are going to have a Kendall Gem soon finished up by Lulu. This was the Fate getting this first blue buff of the game, as they've done a really good job on the side of MRN of controlling it and preventing him from picking it up. As we look to gold, Draven leading the way at 7,500. Malphite right behind him though at 7,000. And most everyone else is sitting in the mid 6,000s in terms of carries. And the big difference though is support, where Lulu is up 1,500 gold on Sona, and that's really showing, as she's been able to pick up that extra item, and that extra item allows her to either stay alive or help out a team just that little bit. And it matters so much on supports. That's why teams have been running things like AP Janna, where you can actually go kind of split push, pick up a few waves of farm, and actually get an item or two to be useful in a team fight. Looks like TSM is waiting to try and bait something out here. Reginald has locked in the red card, but it will not be enough as Nocturne just spell shields it and takes a good bit of damage from those wild cards. Oracle's up on the odd one, as he's going to rotate around and clear out all the wards, making sure that Baron is completely safe. And TSM could even attempt Baron. I think Baron would not be that hard. And it looks like TSM is continuing to bait. Nocturne is in a lot of trouble, but we do see the ultimate by Twist of Fate coming out. Nocturne will get the spell shield off and flashes over the wall. No real fight going on there. Excellent decision by Nocturne and awareness to realize that's my only option. Draven was cutting him off from one side, Nasus on the other. But that does give time for Dyrus to pick up the top tower. Towers are 3-1 in favor of TSM. TSM has a very sizable gold lead as they're up 5 kills. And just a little bit on most of their champions. They're actually down on the AD carry and AP carry, but Malphite's up significantly on Elise. And the Twist of Fate passive is keeping them close in terms of farm. And this Oracle is really paying off for the odd ones. He's cleared out a massive number of wards. Karthus will likely get his first chance to really use that teleport, as TSM is going to be baiting for Baron, and they probably could do Baron at this point without any real trouble. Reginald does get a bit of a haste boost there, as we see Draven Axis fly, doing a lot of damage to Sona, but Sona will live thanks to the fear. But no, the wildcards finish her off. And with that, this should be a fairly easy Baron. The crescendo is really needed in this team fight. Same thing with the exhaust. Karthus will be able to take the bottom tower in exchange, but it's not going to be enough. Lulu with that speed boost, just too powerful, allowing Reginald to really get in there, get that gold card. And it's going to be if Nocturne can actually get the steal off. He does have a ward from his Wriggles Lantern if he wants to actually go in there, but Twist of Fate will do the right thing and just apply a bit more damage. Uses his ultimate to zone Nocturne out. Excellent decision, so he can't actually get in there. The Ignite does get thrown onto Nocturne as the fear does come out. Baron taken for free, but Twist of Fate likely going to lose his lone life. Though Malphite does jump over the wall, gets a nice ultimate off, but it is flashed away, and Nocturne will go down. Reginald very low, but the shield from Lulu saving him. And TSM does have the Baron buff, all their members alive. Marn did manage to pick up a tower in the bottom lane during all of this, and it looks like they're going to go for 2, but Malphite with a teleport going to stop that. And this is TSM's game to lose at this point. They're losing the farm war fairly heavily, but they've taken the objectives. That's the big thing. They've taken all the dragons. They just picked up Baron. They're up a tower. And now they're looking to make a big push in the mid lane. And with the Baron this early on, it's going to be very hard for Marn to actually deal with it. Looks like we are going to see an Infinity Edge coming out onto Draven instead of the early Last Whisper, because there's not a whole lot of armor coming out on the side of Marn. Caitlyn has finished up a Phantom Dancer, thanks to the fact she is sitting at 212 minions to the 154 of Draven. Karthus up 50 minions as well on Twisted Fate. And it looks like the Frozen Heart is now complete onto Malphite. Good luck trying to auto-attack in this team, Caitlyn. There is no opportunity to actually auto-attack, considering the amount of attack speed slows coming out from TSM. They have the Frozen Heart, they have the Wither, they have Malphite's Ground Slam. Good luck actually getting an auto attack off. Karthus has actually opted to finish off that Tear of the Goddess. Soon we'll have the Seraph's Embrace, as he is getting fairly close to it. But without the blue buff, it looks like we are going to see Draven coming up there with the axes. Twist of Fate does land a nice gold card, and Caitlyn is taken fairly low. She will be taken out by the Malphite ultimate. Beautiful ultimate there, as Malphite just continues to hit onto Elise. And this will be another tower taken down by TSM. Excellent decisions there to go on to Caitlyn. She was not that out of position, but Twisted Fate with his ultimate really punished her. And she really walked into Draven. It was either walking to Twisted Fate or walking to Draven, and both decisions were incorrect. She didn't have a good decision there. And that will be an inhibitor taken out by TSM at the 26-minute mark. Seraph's Embrace now completed onto Karthus. Rylite's Crystal Scepter finished up onto Elise. Sunfire Cape and Frozen Heart on Malphite. Looks like we're going to see the Lock of the Iron Solari on both junglers, though Nasus is heavily in favored here, as he does already have the Runic Bulwark. And that's the one thing most junglers go for. They go for that early Spirit Stone, then the Runic Bulwark. They don't want to waste much gold on themselves. And it looks like Karthus is going to go try and solo Dragon. He has the damage to do so, but he's not going to be in shape for this fight. And TSM is on a warpath. They're going to look to take down this tower and any kills along with it. The mid lane's going to be pushed fairly heavily, as Karthus does actually take down Dragon. But this tower will be sacrificed. An even exchange. Especially due to the fact TSM gets map vision. And the map vision is super important right now, as they could really control this jungle of Marn. And Marn won't have an opportunity to really get anything going. So it looks like Karthus is just going to continue to farm. Marn is going to say, hey, we don't care how farmed you guys get. We're going to get our carries super duper extra farmed. And eventually take a late game team fight. It's going to be hard because they're going to have to rely so much on Karthus landing every single one of the lay wastes and defile. And be in perfect position. Which is going to be very hard considering how squishy he is. Even with Rod of Ages and the Seraph's Embrace for a very powerful shield, he is not going to be alive very long in these team fights, with Draven picking up an Infinity Edge now, and the Bloodthirster, soon to have what I suspect to be a Phantom Dancer, as he really doesn't need anything. Looks like Twist Fate's going to come in the mid lane, get a nice stun out on Caitlyn. Caitlyn in a lot of trouble as Malphite finishes him off with the Unstoppable Force, and TSM is going to be able to push. And it doesn't matter how farmed Caitlyn is, if they can keep killing her like that, this is TSM's game to lose. And it's really been Twisted Fate making a lot of big plays. Reginald's done an excellent job of making sure Caitlyn is never in these team fights. She's picked her off 2 or 3 times at this point in the last few minutes, and she hasn't been able to do much. She's going for the last whisper, but it won't matter, as Malphite has too much health and armor, and he doesn't really need anything other than that. He's going to be able to pick up a Rando's Omen soon, and then, yeah, even less chance of him dying. They have so much attack speed slow, they have so much health on their tanks, and that Wither is just so powerful. As it looks like the odd one's going to take it up. Nice crescendo, hits 4, as we see Karthus jumping in there. Draven just going to be able to kite around the back lines as he does get ultimate by Lulu. Lulu's Wild Growth doing a lot of damage. Lulu's taking fairly low. Elise taken out by a set of wild cards. Caitlyn in the area doing a lot of damage. Actually gets the pick off on Lulu. Karthus ultimate not able to finish anyone off as the axes fly back from Draven. Only losing Lulu in exchange for 3. A very good exchange for TSM, and they will be able to push here. They're not going to push the inhibitor as Caitlyn's still alive. She respawned just in time for that fight. But they are going to be able to secure the jungle buffs and secure both sides of jungle farm. And this is really TSM snowballing this mid game. They're up 10,000 gold. And even with that fight, Karthus got blown up. Karthus still is yet to use his teleport effectively. Or I don't even think he's used it at all. Maybe once, but nothing really. And it's really hurt him. Something like an exhaust would have made much better sense on him, considering they've not had the opportunity to do anything with that teleport. Twisted Fate has now finished off his Lichbane. Looks like Nasus is just tanking it up with a casual Negatron Cloak and Giant's Belt. Draven going to be going for that last Whisper next. Not sure how much he actually needs it, considering there's very little armor on the side of Marn. Outside of the natural armor that they get, they don't have anything like the Aegis of the Legion to give them some extra team fight. Lulu has picked up Shirley's Reverie and the Lock of the Iron Solari, so an extra layer of protection for Draven, and they've done an excellent job of protecting Draven, considering Marn's sole focus has been trying to kill him. It's left TSM with Twisted Fate and Malphite to just do whatever they want in that back line. There's not been an opportunity for them to really get anything going. Baron has respawned and will be taken by TSM. They're just going to 3-man it as Malphite and Twisted Fate are in the bottom lane. Very little chance of actually catching them. All their summoners up. Twisted Fate does pop the ultimate, and it looks like he's just going to teleport away. He will actually get away. Malphite might have to use his Unstoppable Force, but instead he's just going to back up. And Baron for nothing as TSM continues to pressure around the map. Inhibitor has respawned in the mid lane, so we are going to see a race towards it. As Draven's actually going to go up top and take down that top tower. There's no one on the top side of the map for Marn, and this is going to be a free tower. Excellent decision there by TSM. Really rotating around the map, recognizing that they were going to try everything to get Malphite and Twisted Fate. And they're just going to fight 2v3, 2v5, and 3v5, and just play the disengage game, as TSM will take down yet another tower, making the tower score 9-2 in their favor. They're up 17-6 at the 32-minute mark, and they're looking to take down an inhibitor in the mid lane. Nothing Marn can really do at this point. They just don't have a good way to engage. Flash is still down on Sona, and that's their only real option. Karthus is going to try to engage, but he's taking so much damage before the fight starts, he's just going to sit around against Nasus. Ultimate by Sona is used, only hits one, and that's just Twisted Fate, and he will be destroyed by Twisted Fate with a set of wild cards. Double kill by Reginald, as Karthus does go down. Ultimate going to fly, but not kill anyone. And this is going to be a good game in favor of TSM. Marn just never got that mid-game rolling. It's a beautiful ultimate by Malphite, finishes off Elise instantly. And TSM just has way too much in terms of engage and tankiness. That front line just will not die. And this is TSM securing everything in the game, with the exception of one dragon, and absolutely dominating. They've really looked on point today, and I'm really glad to see it. They've figured something out on the side of TSM, and it's really going to help them going into. Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.